verbal clear consent was needed, I'm actually with you. Do you know why verbal clear consent was needed? Is because you guys started to take your women and sleep with them and then dump them the next week, and the girl's like, I was never okay with this.
What do
Islam's
you mean? What do you
whole
mean, you guys?
premise,
What do you mean, you guys?
Sir.
whoever feels
That
targeted, whoever feels targeted. Okay, just don't. It's not an emotional one. You guys want to have a
No, 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 no,
intellectual
no, 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 no,
conversation?
no,
Say
no, no, no,
Astaghfirullah.
sir. No, 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 sir. No, sir. Don't do that. No, you're
Can
wrong.
I finish my sentence?
Don't make that
No.
assumption.
Phil,
Don't do
Phil,
that.
Can
Phil,
I
You're
finish
let
wrong.
my
him
sentence?
Can
finish.
we not
Phil,
digress on a
Could
limelight?
I
Phil,
finish
Phil,
my
please,
sentence?
please let him finish. I didn't even
Yes. Okay.
let
So
him.
I
He
thought
didn't
he
even
was
get
finished
it is
because
it
he
is
thought.
it is
point.
I
mind
thought
blowing
he had
to me.
finished.
It is mind blowing to
Okay.
me to have people that compare the Western ideology of being in relationships in the Muslim, where not only is the girl obligated to give consent, her father's obligated to give consent. So it's a double consent. It's a double verification on her okayness.
The
And you
child
guys
is
are
not
comparing
real.
that to what is happening in the West, where your women are being used and then dumped because the guy is done with her. We call it
Adele,
dating,
It's the
right?
fact
Absolute
that you
Whenever
need
you're
crap.
to
done,
have your father's
you claim you
consent to
respect
state
women,
that
and
you
as
are
soon as you're done
unable
with
to
her,
actually
you
be
throw her out to the
able.
streets.
No, no,
No,
but you've
no,
just
no
stated, this is what
financial
I'm trying to
protection,
tell you guys.
no
I think we
emotional
have a
protection.
different understanding of what bodily autonomy is, or the fact that as
Yeah.
an individual, if you do not, that's misogyny. Because the fact that I have to
Mm.
get permission from my father when I fucking said
Right.
yes because it's not enough for you, but yet you have a problem with people saying that they have no issue with the marriage, shows the cognitive dissonance that you do not see that a woman is seen as less, right? Because if my
Mm.
father is able to consent more on top of me than I am as a person, just as one individual, shows that I do not matter as
Property.
a person.
Okay, so could I ask you a question? Why is it that the Me Too movement existed? Isn't it because people who are more vulnerable, who are women, were seeking the rights out from people that were more oppressive, men? So shouldn't men protect our women from other men?
No,
And now all
actually,
of a
men
sudden it's
should
No.
be
misogyny
not
because we're
protected
asking
from
men
women.
to
We shouldn't
protect
be
our women from
protected.
other men?
Do you
Ronnie.
understand? This
people
is why
should
I'm saying that
protect
I think you
people.
don't understand what misogyny is. And you think that it's protection. What it actually is literally restricting individuals, right? Right now, as you can see in the comments, other than the people who rightfully say, I do have a sharp mouth, I don't like say no to that. But you can see that the fact that they do not like the way that I'm speaking, the other people find it very irking when a woman speaks, or an individual that's perceived as a woman speaks, when a man is not speaking. That's what I'm saying, that there is literally a hierarchy of how you're viewed, right? You're saying that you need to be protected. How about we stop men from doing said things? Enough.
Yes, and how do we stop these men?
No, they can be stopped because we
How do we
think it's a
stop them?
primitive, a
No,
primitive.
you're not.
Like,
Please don't
it's
overtalk
not.
her. She's
It's
still
not. It's
talking. Come on.
socialization.
Okay.
People forget that these people have been socialized in order to believe that because of the differences in biology, or or like our bodies, somehow they have more rights over someone. Hence why you need to protect women from the actual from predators. But if you actually address the actual point of the fact that they feel
Amazing.
they can do so, is the issue, not protecting women.
Okay, so how do we protect these women?
By teaching men why it's not okay. I'm sorry, I keep reading the comments and like they're throwing me off.
So you think if I teach a person that is a mass emmer, somebody who takes people's lives, if I sit him down in a class, he's gonna stop committing crimes? You think if I have a criminal that is a
Socialization. This is
horrible
why I'm
human
talking
being,
about primary
so
socialization.
if I have a criminal, you think a 1 hour class a week is gonna make him change his mind, and
Why
what?
do
He's
you
not gonna
think that
start
it has
stealing
to
anymore?
start from when someone's already become said great? This is why I'm saying that it's been socialized. So if you are teaching them from the start that this is how you respect human beings, and this is how you started from childhood, because cognitive development of an individual, the first 5 years, are very important in how they view others and how they view others viewing them, right? So yes, I do agree
Amazing.
that someone who's already
True.
convicted, it is not possible for you to rehabilitate them in the same manner that you'd be able to do so for a child. So when I say that
Yes.
you need to
Good point.
socialize our men better and to teach them that they are also they're also beings that are deserving of having emotions, as well as also
I
being
agree.
able to have a partnership rather than needing to control others, then it
I
changes
agree.
the status quo in the future.
Sure. So what the problem is that you're saying one thing, but what you apply as an atheist, I'm just gonna assume you're an atheist, you can correct me,
No, she
is
is not an
absolutely
atheist.
nonsensical.
No, please
Because
don't assume. Please don't assume.
Don't assume anything.
She's not. She's
okay,
not
let me know
an
if you're not an
atheist.
atheist.
She's an
Okay.
She's not.
ex-Muslim.
She's
Yes.
an.
Okay.
She's not
I'm not
an
an atheist.
atheist. She's not an
Okay, fine.
atheist.
So let me
Yeah.
just continue.
I,
As
oh,
a, as a,
I'm so
as a
sorry.
person
I
that
just looked at the
is,
time.
as a
If
Muslim,
you guys are still up here,
it's
I'll be back, but I do have a meeting with my university in 4 minutes, so I shall see you
okay.
guys in like
Okay.
15-20 minutes. All right.
That's fine. Let me just continue her point. So one of the things that people fail to understand is that a lot of these people who can create criminal activities come from broken homes. Hence the reason why she said when you're young, you need to be educating these people. That's why single parent homes are one of the we claim is almost a disease of the child. It's you give him such a disadvantage in society because he's broken. Islam fixes the broken homes. Islam fixes your morality. Where do you get your morals from? Where do you get what is right or wrong? Because you feel it. One person feels like doing something one week, he feels it doesn't feel it. You guys had all these moral arguments when Zubaydah was speaking. And I was like, where the hell do they even get their morals from? Where do they get what is right or wrong? One day a guy could become a girl, and the next week a guy could be sleeping with
Where
his
do
own
you
brother.
get yours from?
Where do
Wait,
you get,
now that
but
you're here,
question, where do
where
you
do
get
you
your
get yours?
morals from? Where do you get
No,
what is right or wrong? Please
I
answer.
asked you the question first. Where do
I
you
get it
get
from
your
God. Where do you
morals
get
from?
it from?
Which God? Which God are
Okay,
you
I
talking
answered.
about?
I answered. Now tell me where you get it from.
No. Which God? Did God
God.
speak to you
I get it
himself?
from God. Who did you get it from, please?
Did God speak to you himself to
I
tell
got it
you
from
what
God.
he
Where
wants?
did you see? This is what we
No,
call
but
deflecting. You asked me, I
I
answered.
am
I
an
asked you, you don't
atheist.
answer.
I am an atheist, and I do not believe in the existence of God. Right?
Do you believe in the
So
existence of morality?
did God give you this set of morals that you live by? Did
Do
God give
you
them to
believe?
you?
Listen, you asked me where I got my morals from. I answered you.
Yes.
Now, please tell me where you got your morals from.
Your answer is not sufficient because I do not believe in
Because
the
you want to poke
existence
holes to
of
my answer,
God.
but you don't even
I
have
do
a
not
basis for it.
believe in the existence of God. So,
Okay.
what God and when? When did God tell you that these
Okay.
are the morals that you must live by?
Okay. Well, the idea of not believing in a higher power is the absolute nonsensical. Where all of this known universe is contingent and is dependent on something, and all of a sudden you believe that, well, it's dependent, but you don't know where it might be dependent on, right? So this idea doesn't make sense. Two, how did God speak to me? You know the answer. We
I
have a
don't
prophet.
know.
The
I do
prophet.
not know. I do
Okay.
not know. I would
So
like for
through a
you to tell me.
prophet.
I don't know.
Through a prophet.
So God didn't speak to you directly. He spoke to a prophet.
If you want the
How did
actual
God do it?
line, he
How
told
did God
the
do it?
angel brought it down to the prophet.
The angel brought it down to the prophet, the set of morals that you live by.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
how do you know that it was God that gave those set of morals to that angel?
Amazing. So there are things in the Quran that are falsifiable and there are things that are verifiable. Do you know the difference between the two? Just so I could.
I know the difference.
You know what? Something that is non-falsifiable and something that is verifiable.
I asked, how do you know that God spoke to that angel?
I'm explaining it to you.
Go
I'm
on,
explaining it to you, but I just
explain
need to
it.
know that the premise, you understand what I'm saying. Do you understand that there are things in the Quran that could be verified and there are things that cannot be verified, right?
I don't know about that.
Sir, you're wrong.
You're the Muslim. I don't
You're
know
wrong.
much about Islam. So please coach
Okay.
me, tell me what I
So-
need to know. I don't know
So
about all
okay,
of these
perfect,
things.
amazing. I appreciate your sincerity. So one of the things that like sometimes people will do will be like, oh, well, your Quran says that Moses split the sea. Could you prove that? No, we cannot prove that. The Quran will say something like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, rode from one city to the other overnight and up to the heavens. Can I prove that? No, we cannot. Can I prove to you angels? No, we cannot. So these are things that are non-falsifiable.
So you can't prove angels.
No, these are things that are not falsifiable.
So you wait, hold on. So an angel gave your prophet this set of morals, but yet you cannot prove the existence of these angels.
No, if the way you want me to explain it to you is unfalsifiable. Again,
No.
if you want me to prove to you that Moses split the sea, there's nothing I can do.
It to me. I am just trying to understand something here. You are the one that made the claim that you have objective morality, right?
Yes. So let me continue.
It is God. No,
Let me
hold
continue.
on. Hold on, please. Hold on. Your claim was that it was God, right? Hence why your morality is objective. Now, when it comes down to it, it turns out that it wasn't even God. It was an angel that brought it to the prophet, right? So now, how do you know that that prophet was speaking on behalf of God? That's what we're trying to figure out now. So,
okay, so this is what we do. We take the Quran.
We're trying to figure out if your morality is objective or subjective, right?
Okay.
But so far so good. You're proving to us that your morality is subjective because it's not coming from God himself.
Yeah, well,
It's
that's
coming
what
from a
happens when
prophet. So
you
now
just
prove
let me
to us.
explain half of what I'm
Okay,
saying, and
prove
then
to
no, let
us,
me finish
prove
the other
to
half.
us, prove to us that this angel was truly speaking on behalf of God. Because now you've already said to us that there is no way to prove the existence of angels. No way.
Mm. So no way for you, right? Because look, I'll give you I'll explain it. I'll explain something. The fact that you, even as an atheist, because I'm assuming you're an atheist based on your
I am
name.
an atheist, yes.
Okay, based on your name, the fact that even the evidences of God is so overwhelming and you still decided to not believe in it, then for me, I can't even explain to you things that are lesser than God, like angels. Like
That's
for me,
not
for
the
you
question.
to
That's
assume
not the
that there
question
is no
asked.
higher
That's
being,
not the question asked.
but you
Right
understand
now,
that I'm
right
answering
now,
you
that
based
was
on
not
your
the
level,
question
right?
asked. The question asked to you is not to tell me about all the proof that God, whoever has given, hence why I still do not believe. That was not the question. The question asked to you is provide us evidence. How do you know that God was speaking to that angel?
Okay, amazing. So we would have to start off by first explaining God, believing in God and understanding who God is. Do you feel like that's fair? Because for you to disbelieve in God, then all of the premises I'm going to bring forth, that won't make sense. If there's no foundation to this conversation, there's no point of this conversation. So one is, how do we actually come down to a conclusion of, is there a God or no God?
All right. Okay, go on
And
then.
if there is a God, which God is the true God? Do you feel like that's fair?
Oh, I like this. Oh,
Okay.
so we want to prove which God is the true God out of the
No,
10,000.
let's start off, is there a God?
The 10,000 of gods, yes?
Yes. The 10
that's
10 million of gods that people worship.
Oh,
Can we
fantastic.
start off with, is there a God?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So now this is the premise I'm going to present to you, and you could agree or disagree with me, okay? Everything of the known universe is dependent, therefore is obligated to need a being that is independent, self-sustaining, to bring all of these dependent things into existence. Do you agree?
So
No, I don't agree.
I don't.
he was going too fast for me. What the hell? Sorry, what were you
I'll
saying?
slow it down.
Slow it down.
Okay?
Slow it down.
Okay, so imagine I tell you, okay, for me to exist as
There are
Adil,
two things.
I am dependent on the existence of my mom and dad. If my
Okay.
mom and
That's
dad
different.
were to not exist, I could not exist. I am
Okay.
dependent on the existence of my parents.
Mhm.
Okay,
That
my
makes no
parents
sense.
are
It's
dependent on the existence of their parents.
Okay.
Okay, so therefore, we are all dependent beings. Okay, we cannot exist as a standalone being. Me as Adil, I'm not standalone. I am dependent on multiple things. So therefore, if we go all the way down the road up to an infinite, or what you understand, up to the creation of the universe itself has a beginning, according to cosmologists. Okay, if the universe has a beginning, that means it cannot be an independent being, where it requires something to bring it into existence. Do you agree?
It requires
Not necessarily.
to bring it into existence. You mean the universe or human?
Yes, the universe has a beginning, which means
Okay.
anything that has a beginning cannot be independent, because it was required at one point, it was not even in existence.
Phil, you want to say
First,
something?
yes, I want to say something. Is the statement that there has to be dependent on something, that's totally incorrect, because there are two things we know in the universe that does not depend on anything, as far as you know. That's radioactivity decay, and the other one is virtual particles at the quantum level popping in and out of quote unquote popping in out and out of existence. Those have no known cause. There's no known cause there. There's no cause. So that defeats that part. No, wait. You were speaking all the time. Hold on. The second thing, the other thing is, matter, energy is neither created nor destroyed. That's what we know. We had a singularity at the beginning, and there was energy, and everything was in a very condensed state. We don't know what caused that thing to cause the expansion, because the Big Bang It's just an explanation of how this universe expanded and come into being. We don't know what caused the singularity, what the singularity, all we know is the singularity was there. And we know that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So now to come to deposit and say that what you want to do is to say, oh, it's dependent on something, therefore that something is God. That is a fallacy. That's a Godly gaps fallacy. You don't know what it is. We don't know what it is. And we don't know whether or not it was always there.
Okay. So
So
this
you
is where
cannot
you're-
come and say now that a God did such and such, because you do not have any evidence of your God except what somebody said in a book in the Quran. That's all you have. So
Okay, amazing.
using this
So let me ask this
argument
one.
does not get you to a God. It does not get you there, sir. You still
Okay.
cannot. You have still not shown that that God exists.
Oh, okay. So let me break it down for you, okay? Because I feel like you
You,
have
you
a
know,
bit
you
of
don't have to
knowledge
break it down for me. You don't have to
on
break
this.
it down for me. I know the argument already. You don't have to break it down for me. You can break it down
I am
for the
wrong.
other.
Okay. Let me break it down for you because you feel like you don't, but okay, fine. Do you believe that the universe is infinite? Has always existed?
If you were listening what I just
Do
said,
you believe that the
you
universe
will
has always
ask that
existed? Yes or
question.
no?
I'm not going to answer it because you already answered it.
Do you believe
You
that
are
the
not
universe has
listening.
always
No,
existed?
you are not listening. I just answered the question. I just answered that question, but you are not listening.
So why are you afraid? Just say yes or no.
No. I answered it. If you were
Just yes or
listening,
no.
what did I say? What?
Do you
No.
believe
What
that
did
the
I
universe
say?
has always existed? Yes or no?
What did I just say?
Just yes or
What
no.
did I just say? No,
Is this what you
repeat
guys
to
are
me what I
representing, you
told
guys?
you. Repeat
Is
to
this who
me
you guys
what I
are
told you.
representing,
No,
you
you are
guys?
not gonna pull that card, sir. You're not gonna pull that card.
Okay.
He did
Okay, I don't
answer the
So
want.
what was his
question.
answer?
So
Okay, what
I
was his
he
don't.
did
I
answer?
don't.
answer your
I don't
question.
want. I
Everyone,
don't
but
want these.
Yes, before he answered asked the question, I did answer it. So he's
Okay,
not
fine,
being
fine.
dishonest.
The Afro atheist, what's his answer? Afro atheist, you
I
said
don't
he
play that
answered,
game,
right?
sir. I don't play those
The
games.
Afro
I'm not
atheist, you
Afro
said he
atheist,
answered,
but
right? What was his
he did
answer?
answer your question. He said he
So what did
doesn't.
he answer?
He said they don't know.
Now
He
neither
mentioned about
does
the
he.
singularity, and he mentioned that they don't know exactly. That's why it's called a theory. That it's always been
Is that what you
around,
said?
but we don't know exactly what formed it.
Or what caused it? Yes. And he doesn't have that, and he cannot provide and say,
Okay.
when you say God did it, it means it's a Godly gap
So
fallacy.
now you're
And you
contradicting
don't know
cosmology.
what it is. So you need to admit that you don't know what it is. Just because your book told you what it is does not mean that it's true. You still cannot show that that God exists. That is not a
you're
proof.
contradicting-
I'm very sorry, but you are wrong.
Okay, I'm wrong. You're contradicting cosmologists that believe that the
No, I
universe
am
has
not. I
existed.
read up on all cosmology, sir. Lawrence Krauss, Sean
And
Carroll,
the
all of them
cosmologists that-
admit those are the top
Relax,
theoretical physicists and cosmologists. Don't come and bring that to me because I am a scientist and I know the science. So
What
don't
kind of
try that
scientist?
one here, sir.
What kind of scientist are you? What kind?
No. Let's not do that.
That's
We're just
irrelevant.
having a conversation.
That's irrelevant.
Exactly. We're not going to do
I
that.
teach
Okay.
science,
We
all
are
forms of
if you
science, sir.
cannot have conversation without having to resort to these personal questions, then please let's not bother with this. Okay.
Okay, let me just continue then.
Asking him what kind of
all them-
scientist he is when you can't even just because you're trying to have conversation, it's not necessary, and you know that.
Okay, let me just continue then. Cosmologists all believe that the universe has a beginning. Where cosmologists disagree is how old the universe came into existence. They don't actually know when the beginning of the universe existed, but no cosmologist believe it has always existed, except those that stuck on the theory that was the steady state. They believe that the universe was eternal. That's why they stuck to it. And then after that,
There
because of the
is
Big Bang
not
expansion,
all.
they
You
changed
don't
their
know
mind.
what happened
Hence the
before that.
reason-
And I never said it always existed.
I-
I never
Did I-
said it always existed. I said it could have, it might have, we do not know. That is what I said. I know you are
Correct.
trying to strawman the argument, which is wrong. You are strawmanning the argument so that you can argue a straw man. That's what you're doing. You're being dishonest here, sir, and they call out dishonesty.
Your screaming is
Well,
not making
you
you
can
more right.
finish, but you are being dishonest right now.
Okay. Cosmologist who has more knowledge than me and Phil believe that the universe has a beginning. For Phil to say he doesn't know,
No, not all do. Not all do. Some they have various theories, sir, various
Okay, guys.
hypotheses.
All
They
of
don't
you
that they believe.
Okay, fine.
You
All
are
of
being
you here
dishonest
take
again.
2 minutes.
I listen to them.
All of
I
you
listen
here
to them,
take 2
and a
minutes.
variety of them on a debate. You are lying here, sir, and I will not allow you to discredit because
finish?
cosmologists, none of them. You are lying.
Guys, I'm lying. All of you here take 2 seconds. Wallahi, take 2 seconds. Google. When did the universe came into being? When did the
I
universe
actually
start
already
existing?
looked it up.
Google it.
I've
Google
already
it.
looked it up. I've already looked it up.
What does it
And
say?
it says, according to the prevailing cosmological model, the universe had a definite beginning in an event known as the Big Bang. The theory suggests that the universe was once an extremely hot and dense
Tell
state.
that to Phil. Tell that
Yes,
to Phil.
that's it. That's it.
Tell that
But
to
if you're
Phil.
now talking
he's
about
also- he's
before,
here.
it's right. Whoever said the reading is correct.
Oh,
It did have that beginning from the Big Bang, but if you were talking, and I know where you were going before the Big Bang, what will cause the singularity to appear. So I said, we do not know. Some have theorized that it was always there. Some have not theorized, have put forward the hypothesis something else caused it. It could have come off from another, based on the inflation and conflation theory. It's not theory, hypothesis, that it could have come from another universe, or the universe keeps expanding, contracting. There are multiple sets of hypotheses, and it's not a consensus on it. And you are trying to say that cosmologists do not do that. You are being dishonest because there's not a consensus on it.
I thought no personal attacks.
You are being dishonest. It's not personal attack. I calling out dishonesty.
Just to
Then you are making a dishonest statement.
Okay.
I just wanted to understand this back and forth right now. What is
So
the
where the
actual
problem
point
lies?
we're trying to get
Hold
to?
on, please.
I had questions, and
Yeah,
this
I
is
just wanna
All right,
understand
the others
what
ask the questions, please, because I used to finish engaging
the
a
gentleman was
dishonest
trying to
person.
walk us. The gentleman was trying to walk us to how it's his God that is.
So let him continue.
Where
Okay,
we were even
so
going with this conversation.
One of the problem, and this is where philosophy is very interesting, because you guys, where you get your morals, you're right or wrong, has to be some from philosophy, right? So this is where we go to Occam's razor, right? Where it says the simplest understanding to a problem has to be the correct one. So when we have a situation where Phil says, well, maybe another creation created it. Maybe somebody, you know what, freaking talked so loud it created a universe. Maybe somebody fell in the universe and created another universe. All of these what ifs is the reason why
I didn't say anything about somebody. I never said that. Again, you're a straw man, and I allow you to do that. I will not allow you to do that, sir. You are straw manning again. That is dishonest again.
Your philosophy is your
if I'm
religion.
understanding, Adele, what you're trying to say or trying to discount now is the fact that Phil used the words might have, right?
No. Okay, this is what. Okay, guys, look up Occam's razor.
So, no, hold on. I just
Do you
want
guys
to
know what
understand.
Occam's razor is?
No, that's not
I
our
want to
razor. Don't work with
understand.
Do
that.
you know what Occam's razor is?
I want to understand this back and forth
Yes,
in
we know.
particular. What is it about? What is it that you are trying to specifically prove? Because I feel like we've lost that.
Okay, I'll tell
Because
you.
I think the original question to you, at least the train of thought that I was able to follow before this mess started, was when you were asked where your morality was derived from, and you said that you got it from God. Then they were asked again, which God? And then you had, I think you had described and answered something along the lines of, no, the angels gave it to the prophet, and then the prophet gave it to you in the Quran, right? And then you were asked if you knew for sure if it came from God.
Okay. So this is where it went south, is because Phil was not happy with the idea that all of the observable universe comes from something that is everything that we know of the observable universe is
you don't know
dependent. We know that. Name me one thing that is independent.
I said there are two things that we know that you cannot say dependent on something else.
No, I just want to understand. So you're saying because something cannot operate independently, it means that there must be a God?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the point?
No,
I want to understand what you're saying.
I'll make it easier, right? Okay. if
need to make it easier. That was your point, right? Is that because we're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
don't
independent,
agree with
there
seriously,
had
you
to be
guys
something that
understand it.
created
You
us.
guys, you like
No,
again. By the way, not
because we
knowing
don't
something is
agree
fine.
with you, you think that we're inferior to your
Yeah.
thinking. That's the thing.
No,
is
I
that your
just think
ego
you
is
guys
so
have
big, you're
never
not capable of
necessarily
having this
spoke to some.
conversation.
I'm the one. No, you guys have to understand. I'm the one making the argument, so I'm the one who has to kind of
You
make it
just say
simpler.
that, shut up.
Because if it's too complicated, I'm not doing a good job. That's all I'm saying. You guys don't always have to take
It's
everything
not
like personal attacks.
complicated, sir.
But well, the problem
But
is
that's
though
the
is that
problem.
one
Is just let
well,
me
and-
explaining. I'm the one making the argument.
and-
If I can't
Yeah, let's
make it
just try to keep some
understandable,
form of structure here.
yes. Okay. So
Yeah.
let me explain what I'm saying.
But try
all-
not making it simple, because that's kind of where you're getting lost, is the simplicity of what you're doing, because you're missing the nuance of reality. So
What does that even mean? I'm making it simpler so it's more understandable.
no, because the
So
thing
you
is though
were-
is that you're chunking it down so simple that you're missing things that actually matter and make a difference to what you're saying, and thus be having lots of
Okay.
logical fallacies in what you're trying to build.
Okay.
So like
Okay,
we're just
so-
saying, don't veer from
Okay.
reality, basically.
Okay. So I'm gonna make it as complicated as possible. Okay. God has to exist because of the kalam cosmological argument.
Okay, so just for me to
Do you
understand,
agree?
Keep going.
Could you
hold on.
disprove that?
hold on.
I know that was the
For
argument.
me
I
to
made it
follow,
as
so for me to
complicated as
follow,
possible. Go ahead.
I
so
know
me to
what it
follow
is.
your train of thought. So for me to follow your train of thought, you're saying that God must exist because there's no quote unquote explicable reason.
There's
And I
an
mean,
on-cause cause.
according to you.
He's saying there's an on-cause cause. He's
because
saying
that
there's an
makes sense.
on-cause cause that caused this universe to
There
come in.
has
It's
to
not the
be-
basis of the Kalam chronological argument. I know where you're coming from, bro,
If-
and
That's
it
fine,
doesn't work.
Just
You
because
still can't
something
disprove it.
I just
That's
want
the
to
problem.
understand. Because for
Yes,
me,
yes,
just because
it
something
was
hasn't been-
disproven.
It doesn't work. It's not proven.
guys, guys. So for
What's
me, what
happening
I'm
out
trying
there?
to understand is that what you're saying is that if there's no reason that humanity has found yet, that's where you insert God.
No. So this is where a lot of problem, like philosophers will say the God of the gaps. That's what Phil keeps alluding to. He says, theists keep saying, well, because you don't know something, therefore God. No, we don't say we don't know something, therefore God. We're saying because it wouldn't make sense except with the premises of a God. That's why a person like
That's
Phil has to
literally
say,
the
I'm
same
sorry.
thing.
I'm sorry. Can I interject for a second? Zubaida, I thought you said you were leaving. Because I would like to bring a couple more people up. Just so other people can join in this
Yeah,
conversation.
sorry, I was away from my
By the way,
phone.
big
Yeah,
respect to
sorry,
you,
yeah, no
Zubaida.
problem. I'll jump off.
But
Zubaida,
I also
big
just want to
respect.
point
You were
out
holding
that
Thank
you
you, brother.
just
May
said
Allah
the
bless
exact
you,
same
Afi.
thing with different words.
You were actually doing amazing. I was very surprised. I was
All
very
right.
happy.
So picking
Thank
up.
you, brother. May
picking
Allah
up from
bless you.
I
where-
saw how they're all ganging up on you and you're holding your ground.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
I don't
May Allah
think I was
increase you and
ganging
bless
up on her.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
so-
never even
Yeah, you
guessed
were.
that.
In the name
Okay,
of
back,
women's
back,
freedom, you
back,
guys
back,
attacked the
back.
women. What a
But you guys
great-
do feel that way because you're in
I
this.
see your morality comes from the US.
Abdul,
In the
Abdul,
name
you're
of women's
insecure
rights,
as well.
you're
You're
attacking
really
the women.
insecure.
Okay. So anyway.
Okay, by
you
the
were
way, I got
saying,
one
Adele?
more minute. So quickly,
You were
whatever you
saying,
want to
Adele?
finish off now.
Can we move on now, please?
I have one more minute. So what's up?
I did have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I had many questions, but the lady is no longer here to answer them. When you said that God told an angel and the angel told prophet, all of that is written in the Quran, right?
Sure. Yes. Yes.
Okay, and the Quran is your proof that God exists. And what is your proof that the Quran is the legit? And I'm asking this because I know that there's the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, all these books. And most of the people who claim that these books are the actual word of their God use things like, oh, well, they talked about this war, or they talked about this country or this place, and those things actually exist. Therefore, this book must be correct. Whereas we conveniently forget, and I'm not saying that's the argument you're going to make, but I just want to put it out there before you got there, if that was going to be it, is that things like even in, okay, so in the Wolverine movies, they bring up the Holocaust, and we know the Holocaust exists, but we also know that X-Men didn't really exist, but
Sorry, Phil, can you mute, please? I think you've got a feedback.
Yes, sorry.
so I was wondering what besides thinking that actual historical events added into a book makes it anything other than fictional.
Okay. So we don't depend on the history of what the Quran claims to make it true. This is where a lot of Christians actually do, and hence the reason why you believe what you're saying right now. For the Quran, there are a couple of aspects that could be verifiable for you to see, well, could a normal human being, because this is the claim. The claim is this is not divine. This is coming from a normal human being in the 1,400 years ago that wrote this book, right? So this is where I claim, okay? I claim the accuracy of the Quran, okay, to be one, the accuracy of the Quran when it talks about history and the future, the present, the past, and the future. Two, the miraculous nature of the language itself. Now, this is a useless point to argue because we don't speak Arabic here, right? And I don't believe you guys speak Arabic. So this is a useless point for you guys. So one is the language of the Quran. Two is the accuracies of the claims of the Quran. Three, it's the advanced knowledge of what we would claim science today in some aspects of embryology, some aspects that come when we look at people that are the authority in these fields and we present them what the Quran says. They say this could not have been from a God. Your reference could be Keith Moore. He's what's it called? People who study people who are pregnant. I forgot what it's called. Anyways, these are how you. Sorry, embryologist.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get you. So I just want to follow properly because I like following thingy. So she asked you, how do you know that your doctrine in particular is specifically divine?
Yes.
So how do you know?
So this is what I just presented. Okay, look, this is why I need to know what would a divine book look like. If you don't mind me asking.
So you said it was
We
because
are
of the.
asking you that because you have a divine book that you are absolutely sure that it's divine. We
Yes.
are asking you, what is this divinity? How do you know that it's actually divine? Because there's a lot of religious text and writings, as you pointed out, with the Christian text and the Torah and whatever. So how do you know that that one that you have is the absolute truth and that it is divine?
Also, I would like to point out,
just vilifying Christianity.
Guys, before he answers the question, I'll be gone for 5 minutes, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna leave now. So if you want to add
continue.
somebody else, do it now, okay? So just do it now instead before you leave, okay? All right, guys. I actually have to go. My parents are waiting.
but my question.
Okay, but I tried to answer it. Okay, I'll answer it really quickly again. The accuracies of the Quran, of the past, present, and the future, the miracleness of what the common world, which we call science today. The Prophet, peace be upon him, couldn't have known this based on with the instruments that he had in his time. It's literally impossible. The language of the Quran is miraculous in itself. The preservation of the Quran itself is a way that you could know that it could not have been added.
What you're saying is not true. What you're saying is not
So it's miracles.
fine.
But that's, hold on, the same thing.
Okay,
but the
thank
thing
you.
is
I-
that
okay, listen,
the same
I don't-
thing is that
listen, I
every
need to
religious
go.
group claims
I
the
need
same
to
about
leave,
the
bro.
Bible.
I
The
don't
thing is
care.
that the
You
same
asked me a
people
question,
claim the
but that's not how
exact
you do
same
this.
thing.
Listen,
No, what
I
I'm
don't
trying
care.
to
I
get
don't
you
care.
at the
It
same.
doesn't make it true.
I'm trying to
Listen.
understand. I'm trying to understand here because
Yeah.
the answer of the miraculous and the past and blah blah blah, all of them say that about their religious text.
Amazing.
So what I'm
So this
trying
is
to
what you need to
understand
do.
is how do you distinguish their self and say this
This
one
is what
the
you
word
need
of
to
God?
do. This is the homework that you need to do. If
Most of
somebody's
us have already
claiming-
done this homework. bro.
Okay, what the homework you guys need to do is to be Muslims claim that the Quran is perfect. Show that it's imperfect. Where
We've
you
done
need.
that
Oh,
already.
okay,
where you
Adele,
are
I
unable
can
to
prove
understand
that the Quran is immoral.
We've done that already.
Yeah, I will
guys
throw
have
out
a
that Muhammad married an 8-year-old.
I mean,
That's pretty moral.
like
But that's a
let me-
moral argument.
Before you,
You
go,
notice that
Adele,
all
Adele,
of your disapprovals are all moral. Let me just
Yes,
finish.
but your
Right,
God is
because how
supposed to
can you
be
be
the God of
Let me
moral
go.
or not moral?
Let me just let me say so I could leave, please. My parents are waiting for me.
Please let me say this very quickly. The Quran, an example has already been given here about where sperm comes from and how the Quran got it
Yes,
completely
that's
wrong.
100% accurate.
Right, that one was
So the thought is 100% accurate.
completely wrong. Where the Quran says it comes from the backbone and the rib, and we
No.
all know that that's not the case. So,
Okay.
the
If I
Quran
present you the
definitely
argument for
got
that, and
something
you
wrong
understand it, will you accept
altogether.
Islam?
The Quran got it all wrong. Completely
You sound like a
wrong.
used car salesman, bro.
Okay, these relax.
If these are objective arguments,
Unethical.
If these are-
Yeah, my parents take precedence. I'm sorry.
S, can you put me on the big screen, please?
Okay,
On big screen, okay.
Yeah, because you know sometimes you like to see where you're getting your information.
please do not request. If you're a Muslim and you don't know what you're talking about, please do not
Come
request.
on.
It's better
He's
for
going
you
to
to stay
go
silent.
now.
God.
Before he goes,
All
can I
right.
just make one point
Um,
that we can actually prove that Islam is unethical? Yeah, and there he goes.
No. I did that because he's trying to I don't know whether he's trying to talk to the people. If you're a Muslim, you don't know this, don't come up and let people do things of their own free will. You don't have to start telling people what to do, that's control. That's controlling behavior.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's very
That's controlling behavior. You can't let people come up and say what they want to say, right? Must you dictate who must come up and who mustn't come up? Let people come up of their own free will.
But that's Islam.
Anyway, guys, I'm
as
going to be done for a
right.
couple of
This
minutes.
what you just said, right? It is Surah 86, 6 and 7.
We can't
They
see
were
it.
created.
We can see it.
Huh?
There's a reflection.
All right, good. I bring it closer.
Hello.
Right, so it's Surah.
Hey,
It
Welcome
is
back,
Surah 86, 6 and 7.
Okay, so
They
what
were
did I miss?
created from a spurting fluid, which will be semen, right? Stemming or originating from between
The backbone
the backbone and the rib
and the rib
cage.
cage.
Semen does not come from the backbone or the rib cage. We know it comes from the testes.
and
That disproves their thing. Although one told me this morning, oh no, the sperm is produced between the rib and the backbone and the rib, but it's stored in the testes.
Yes, he said
well,
it's
That
Phil,
is
don't
not
you know
so.
that that's where the
It's
That's
testes
a
reside?
lie.
But does
I'm
that
more concerned with the fact that we are told that we are against it with only moral arguments, whereas they claim that they have an objective morality that they are getting from this book, and in this book they are showing that their prophet engaged in underage raping of a child, and while at the same time saying that even though slavery is wrong and we know that, even though we know it happened, will not give that same logic to raping a child.
That part.
I
don't even
How
want to
come
like
we
go
know that
too
slavery
far.
was wrong then
guys,
and now,
guys,
but we don't
guys.
know that that is wrong then and now?
Okay,
Yeah,
because
but it's
we
also the
don't have any
projection.
more. I don't think we have any more Muslims up here. I don't know, Dr.
I can
Drop.
drop.
Are you a
I need to.
Christian?
I will
Yeah.
drop. I need to
You're gonna
go
have
do
to
the
drop.
things.
Yeah, I can drop
I would
too,
like.
honestly.
No. Hold on,
Okay.
guys. Hold
Okay.
on.
Okay. But holding.
Hold on. I would like for Christians at least to come and a lot of accusations have been made about Christians up here, right? Christianity. Sorry, not Christians. A lot of accusations, right? Because the thing that Muslims try to do is when they're having conversations, their go-to is Christianity. Oh, but in Christianity, this. Oh, but every single time. So I'm hoping that at least some Christians will come and defend their Christianity, because let me tell you, the Muslims have done a lot of damage to Christianity up here today. Apparently, in Christian in churches, you all are out there just having affairs, right?
I heard that.
Together in one boat. They put you all in one place to worship. So that's the reason why in the Muslims they separate people so that they're not like the Christians who just sleep with any and everyone in the church. So
The Islam and Christianity religion are just mirror images of each other.
I
People
don't think
claiming that a
so.
book written by
I don't think so. Their
Okay.
beliefs
No,
are
I
Yes.
don't.
Yes.
Can I
They're
just
both
ask you,
colonizer
because
spin-offs.
I am
Can I
very
just can I
curious,
come
and
in?
I really did have to go, but I'm curious, what did the Abdul guy state about the thing when it came to about consent, like not speaking, that
No, we
nonverbal consent?
we didn't ask about
No, he brushed it
completely
off.
Well, I
changed
asked
the
him, but
subject.
it immediately segued into a whole bunch of other stuff. It was
Yeah,
never.
he gaslights and pivots.
Yeah, the moment we started asking questions, he immediately went to our morality being subjective and theirs being objective, and we not having any
Which
basis for morals. Hence why, with
which
all
is a
the things
colonizer
that God has
projection.
given us, and yet we still don't believe in God and all this blah 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 blah. So Yeah.
How are
And
we
it's a
the
colonizing projection to go to the morals, by the way. Like it's like they're the ones that go to morals. Like I think it's what Terzia was saying, right? Is that they go to the morals and they invalidate everyone around them because our morals aren't like theirs and good enough. And then
But
they
we
go
not messing with
immediately to
children.
Christianity. Exactly. And they go immediately to Christianity and flip it all around. And so they're literally honestly trying to colonize each other by invalidating each other. It's really all they do.
Okay, can we have we've got a Christian up here, I think one or two. Please, I would like to get
Yes,
a Christian
yes.
perspective.
Before I speak, can Phil speaks before I speak, please?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's just something I need to say. As I correctly said, he was using the Kalam, as I suspected, the Kalam cosmological argument, which says there's a on cause that cause this universe, right? Even if we granted him that there's a on cause, that not on cause, but there's a modification in Kalam cosmological argument that William Lane Craig uses. So I was very familiar with that and where he was going. And as I said correctly, he does not know, neither do we, what caused the expansion to occur. Right? I suspect he stated his thing wrong. He should have stated because the beginning of the universe is when the singularity started to expand. And where he wanted to go was to say that what caused the singularity, right? But that is why I said you can't say that the a God, he could not even get to God there because the problem with the Kalam cosmological argument is that the first mover or first cause does not have any characteristics. So if he wanted to say is a God, he was inserting. That's why I say he kept straw manning.
He's not here
He
anymore.
kept straw manning. Right? And that's why he kept saying somebody that I said somebody probably did such and such. I never said somebody.
No,
So he was trying to smuggle that in.
I
Right?
get that, and he's not
So-
here anymore. So let's not.
No. But this is an argument that Christians love to use too. Good apologetic Christians love to
we didn't
use.
say that,
So
though.
that's
We
why
didn't
I
say
am
that, though.
making this clarification now.
We
So
didn't
any
say that,
Christians
though.
come up here,
Hold on, Dr.
Kalam
Cross,
does not work.
please hold on. Yeah, come on. We're going to give you a chance to speak, right? Phil, thank you so much. Thanks for.
But I'm just saying, if they come up here with that does not work. That Kalam cosmological argument does not work because you still have that is void of characteristics of the first
We
cause.
heard you.
And it could be anything.
Okay. Dr. Drub, since you really want to speak, okay, go on and let's hear you.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on the whole. I was here when the lady said the Christians mix together in affairs and things of that nature, as if in Islam there's no affairs going on. But I was mostly curious on what you got there saying Christianity and Islam doesn't belong in Africa.
Oh, absolutely not.
Do you guys not believe that people do you guys not believe that people should be allowed to practice what they wish as long as it doesn't harm others?
Yeah, absolutely. They should be allowed to practice what they believe or whatever they choose to practice. But then, when those practices are harmful to the people, then we have to challenge such practices, right? And let me ask you a question.
So
Did Jesus at any point say he only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel? Did Jesus make those? Did Jesus make that statement?
yeah, he did make that statement.
That he only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Yeah, he made that statement.
So Jesus didn't come for Africans, did he?
He came for the whole world.
No. Jesus said, I only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Okay,
Jesus
so
didn't say,
this is when
I only came for the lost sheep of the world. Absolutely not. That's what I mean. You confirm that. That's not what Jesus said.
yeah, so this is where we say we can't build ideologies based off one verse or one line. You know, Jesus just didn't build he didn't build the entire doctrine.
Beg to differ.
Let's
Can I just like finish what I'm saying? So Jesus didn't build his teachings off just that one line. You read a line there where he says, I came for none but the lost sheep of Israel. But later on, the woman who wasn't of Israel that was seeking help from Jesus, Jesus ended up helping her. And then not only that, later on, a couple of chapters later, he said, I have sheep, but are not of this fold. So he's building off what he said before when he said, I came for the lost sheep of Israel. And then later he says, I've also come for sheep that are not of this fold, that are not of Israel. So Jesus says a lot of things. It's in multiple gospels. If you just want to take one verse and run with it, that's not doing justice to the entire text. You're picking and choosing at that point.
So Jesus came for sheep.
May I ask a
It's
question?
language. I mean, this is literature, so they're using a language there in order to convey an idea.
What did Jesus mean when he said he came for sheep?
So he was coming for people who would follow him. So he was referring at that time, it was a lot of agricultural style of living. So people were shepherds and things of that nature. So when he's referring to him being a leader and coming to save people so people could follow him, he used the analogy of a shepherd with a sheep. So it's literature, it's metaphors, it's figures of speech.
So are you a sheep, Dr. Drops?
Yeah, one can say that I'm a sheep of Christ.
So you're a sheep of Christ, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all right.
Can I say something now? Can I say something now?
I just wanted to ask Drop a question if I could.
Yeah, you go ahead.
If you don't mind. So being that you don't believe in cherry picking, which is great, of different passages, how do you feel about the LGBTQ community?
I believe that it's like LGBT relations is against the ideal that God made between sexual relations between human beings.
Mm-hmm. Based on how many verses is that ideology?
In for example, 1 Corinthians 6:9, where Paul says, "Do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God?" And then he mentions that.
So one verse.
Not that. There's also Galatians. There's Galatians. There's Romans. There's Peter.
There's Second Timothy. Know ye that in the last days men shall be homosexual.
That's not what it says. The word homosexual is not in the Bible.
Wait, hold on.
The word homosexual is not in the Bible whatsoever.
I'm sorry.
Men shall be lovers of men.
Hold on.
No, and see, that's a distortion and why the original languages matter.
Hold on, please. I've never read that scripture that way. What you said? There's a scripture that says in the last days men shall be homosexuals. Please, what passage is that? Can you?
Men shall be lovers of men. That is how it's been interpreted for 2,000 years.
Tell me what passage that is, please. Please tell me what passage that is.
I'm sorry.
Tell me where can I find that in the Bible?
Go to Second Timothy. Second Timothy, or you can type in "Know ye that in the last days" and it will come up.
Timothy what?
It's Second Timothy chapter 3 verse 2.
No, it's not the verse.
And
it's the chapter.
Men shall be lovers
Don't
of
say
men.
the verse.
It's
the entire chapter.
So, Second Timothy
it's the chapter.
3,
Hold on.
Second Timothy chapter 3.
Hold on.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say this now is that's
Second Timothy chapter 3 verse what?
It's the entire chapter. The entire chapter.
All right, hold on, bro. Don't get your knickers in a twist. Don't get your knickers in a twist.
You don't have to shout. You don't have to shout, sir.
I am not shouting, sir. I am not shouting. It sounds like you are shouting to me. It's coming over that you are shouting to me, sir. I am calm, sir.
Someone said in the last days,
don't tell me be calm.
Men are going to be homosexuals, right? That was what that person said. That in the last days, men are going to be homosexuals. So for you to make a claim like that, please provide a source where it says in the last days.
I just want to correct
just real quick. I brought this
the translation of that verse.
Hold on, everyone. Second Timothy chapter 3. What verse, please?
Verse 1 from verse 1. There's one verse 2 that says, but it does not say men lovers of men. Anyway, but Second Timothy 3. You can read from verse 1.
Let me read it. So it says,
which version you reading from? The Good News?
Good News Bible, yes. says
All right,
people
let me
will be selfish.
see. I am not right.
People will be selfish, greedy, boastful, and conceited. They will be insulting, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, and irreligious. They will be unkind, merciless, slanderous, violent, and fierce. They will hate the good. They will be treacherous, reckless, and swollen with pride. They would love pleasure rather than God. They will hold to the outward form of our religion but reject its real power. Keep away from such people. Some of them go into people's houses and drink. So, where exactly does it state that
Actually,
in the last days men are going to be homosexuals?
actually, thank you for that.
It
Because
didn't say that.
you're making it up. It's not actually.
Okay, so
in
who
that
was the
part of
person
the
that
thing.
said that, please? Who was the person that said that?
And
Uh,
it was Toby.
Toby said that, but I just wanna,
Oh,
I
no,
wanna
no,
say, I think
no,
what he
no,
was
I
trying
Oh
to.
man.
listen,
But I
am
brought up.
not,
Can I
I
just
am not
really
moving
quick,
away. I'm not moving away from
Afro?
this point. I'm not moving away from
Good,
this
Correct.
good.
But I brought it up, and I just.
you do not make such statements and not back it up. And if you're proven to be wrong, we need to call out that lie. Because if you are
Yeah.
making those kind of claims here, those are your own, that's your own idea, right? So this is not
Yeah,
a
I think.
Christian belief. You
So
cannot come and put that on people here.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Absolutely
Sodom and
wrong.
Gomorrah is
So
out of
In the
context.
last days,
Ed, can
can I,
you
men are going
put
to
can
on
be
I,
a big screen?
homosexuals. What is wrong with
So
you?
with
Put on a big
okay,
screen, please.
can I also just comment that I think what he was trying to reference, I mean, he quoted it wrong and the verse is wrong, but I think what he was trying to reference is First Timothy 1:8, when he says, "But we know that the law is good if it's used lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous person, but for the lawless and
That's
insubordinate."
not the verse. What is wrong
And
with you? That's
can
not in
I,
any way, shape, or
can
form
just
I,
what he
can I
was
just
keep,
really
saying. Why do people
please.
do this?
can I, no, I said
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said it wrong. He said the verse
real
wrong.
quick.
No,
I brought it.
he was. Go
Please,
ahead.
Still,
Sorry,
just
still,
sorry,
please.
let's
Please
get
let
sorry,
me
sorry.
speak. Please let me speak. So I brought this topic up because one, it is my life experience. But two, we were talking about how Christianity cherry picks and creates entire ideologies based off 1, 2, 3 verses. And homosexuality and its stance on it is related to that because of the misinterpretation that is done in the Bible and people not going to the original text and seeing that it is not about man lying with man and women lying with women. It's about men lying with boys and women lying with girls. Because the thing is that what Jesus was actually against was pedophilia, right? But you see how Christianity has twisted that so that they could make room for colonizers to continue to do that without threat, which is why we now have hundreds of pages of those that are taking refuge in different denominations of Christianity around the world. Right. And you built entire ideologies. And so I was just wanted to point out the disingenuousness of saying that Christianity does not build entire ideologies based on a handful of verses so that they can vilify someone so they can be superior in their own mind.
So I just want to say, I did not say
Jesus,
that.
Jesus did not
Can I
actually
just
talk
respond to
about.
that, please? You just said something that was untrue. I just want to,
before you
I just
continue,
want to
I'll be
respond.
gone for 5 minutes, please, guys. I'll be gone for 5 minutes.
What was Jesus against homosexuality?
No, Toby, wait. I just want to say this real quick before you do get to respond and
Jesus
go
did
off.
not actually
I did
teach
not
about
say by any
sexual
means.
teachings.
I didn't say that the Bible, we don't build doctrines based off a handful of verses. I said we don't build a whole ideology based on one verse. That's what I said. You're
Right.
taking this completely differently.
So one.
So
So
just
three
give me
is
a
okay.
second. Let me just finish, please. I'm muted when you're speaking. Let me just
As a
finish what I'm
clarifying
saying.
question, so 3
Can I
is
just
okay.
finish what I'm saying, please? Can I just finish what I'm saying? So there is multiple verses in the Bible that suggest these things, and we also, one thing that we do as well is we look at church
There
history
aren't.
throughout the ages. There has been no church in history that, or majority of churches in history that have taken these verses to mean that it is homosexuality. It's kind of disingenuous for you to just come in 2023 and then make a claim about a faith you don't even believe in, you don't even think is true, and then to say that, oh no,
All of
instead,
those,
just
So
let me
you're
finish,
every single one of those verses
let
can
me
be
finish, and then
debunked.
you can respond. I will mute
so
when I'm done, and then you will respond. I promise you. But then you're coming and then making claims about how to interpret a faith that you don't even believe in. The
see,
scripture is
but you're
pretty
making
clear.
assumptions about me.
We have I can go through if you want to really get
Sir,
into
you're
that
making
topic
assumptions
specifically.
about us, which you
If
should
you
not do.
really want
You're
to
Please
go,
making
don't do that.
assumptions,
if you really want
sir.
to go,
You're
you guys
making
Just to give you,
assumptions
just to give
about
you
us.
more
Rather, you should
context.
ask us if we were ever
you guys
Christians,
are
sir.
free.
So,
Don't make the
so I'm
assumptions,
You
please.
guys are free to respond to me.
Feel,
When
no,
I'm
so
done, I
I'm
will
stopping
mute
you now
Can we,
myself
because
can we
you're
just let
starting
one
by
and I
person
trying
will
to
speak
let you
at a
guys
invalidate,
time?
go.
by trying to be an
I will
authority
We are
over me
turning
literally
this
and
place
take
into
saying
a
that
you
market.
because I'm not a
and let you
Christian,
go.
I cannot say these things. So I grew up in Christianity. I was a youth leader, a youth pastor, a missionary, and I went to Bible school. Okay. So it was my entire existence for the first 30 years of my life. Right. And so I have studied this in depth, and I'm not talking out of my ass because it feels good and it's fun. I'm saying these things because I had to go on this journey in order to not kill myself because of things that were created by men that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Anyway, so getting back to the topic, majority of even Christian scholars, even if you want to go down that
Anyways,
way,
that's really good.
if you want to
don't
go
care
back,
about.
so
you don't
can
care
I
about
just
people.
like finish what I'm saying? I like mute when
No,
you're
You're
talking.
talking an awful lot,
No, because
Doctor.
you're
When
doing a
I
lot of
mute
false
when you're
things.
talking.
Dr.
I mute
Dr.
when you're
Dobbs, I
If
think
talking.
the
you guys
reason
don't want
why
us
is
to
that
have this
just
conversation, we
one
can
sec.
all
No,
talk
Leo,
all
just
over
one
each other.
second. Just hold up 1 second. Des just stated something, just expressed and gave us a bit about themselves, and all you had to say was like, anyways, moving on. That was heartless.
Was I supposed to address
Mr.
All
her?
you had to do was
Was I
just
supposed to
acknowledge what they
address?
stated. What
Was I supposed to address her?
no, just acknowledge what he
His.
said. That's
My
all you
pronouns
have
are
to
he.
do.
Like
That's,
I can't even finish what I'm saying. How can I acknowledge when I
no,
can't even
but this,
finish a
he was
sentence?
still
Oh boy.
I
speaking.
can't
Des was
even
not
finish a
finished
sentence, but
speaking
I'm
yet, though.
supposed to
That's the
acknowledge
thing.
something.
Des was not finished speaking, and then the moment that they did finish, all you said was, okay, moving on. That's
I did not
heartless.
say okay, moving.
Yes.
Went
You
back
That's
to
did.
the
literally what you
conversation
said.
that I was
Just
Yes, you
having.
did, sir. You did. I heard you. You
That
said
is
that. You
verbatim what you said.
dismissed.
Anyway,
It was
moving on.
very
Sorry.
dismissive of what he said. And that is really sad. That's not the way of conversation. That's not the way to go. Especially
We
if
were
you're
talking
making
about
certain assumptions, we can
homosexuality. Now
stop
we're
you
getting
before
into an
you
emotional
complete your
argument.
sentence.
We're
So
getting
you
into
do
an
not make a
emotional
mistake that we
argument.
have to
Can
go
we
back
stay
over all over
intellectual, please?
again, Dr. Drops.
Can we
I'm
stay
just
intellectual,
correcting
please?
you so you do not
I have
make the
traumas.
mistake, sir.
I have a
I
trauma
am
from
just
the previous.
correcting you
Let's
so you
talk
do
about
not
the
make the
argument at
mistake,
hand.
sir. I am
Let's talk
just
about the
correcting you.
argument at hand, bro.
Gosh,
We are not talking
something
about
is
our
wrong with
individual
you.
experiences.
Something
I've
is
had
wrong with
Dr.
you.
experience that
Drops.
is also
Sorry.
traumatic.
Can I just
But
add,
I'm not
You
gonna
Dr.
come here
Drops?
and
please
just
acknowledge
Dr.
what
Drops.
Des said.
acknowledge
Please
what?
acknowledge
What do you want me to
before you
acknowledge?
continue.
What do you want me to acknowledge?
Just
I would like you to acknowledge that I actually have experience in this and I know this, and you don't have an authority over me just because you're a Christian and I am no longer one.
Oh, they're gone
Man,
now.
did
can we all
someone
just keep?
drop
I
them?
mean, this thing is turning into some. I don't understand, man.
Leo,
Let's just.
sir, you just came
Yeah,
on.
this debate is not really what I expected. If I had known it was going to be about homosexual, I certainly would have come in. I
Yeah,
would not have come in.
Then drop down, sir. You don't have to
Well,
you don't have
we
to
don't
announce
have
No,
to
but
go about
you
it.
said Christians can rebuke or
No,
rebuff
you don't have
the
to. You don't have
Muslims.
to
I
announce your
thought that was
departure.
what I was going to do, in
No,
addition
totally,
to
totally.
complimenting
I
Phil, who is an
understand.
atheist.
I actually don't understand that, but all I'm saying is you don't have to announce your departure, sir. If you're homophobic and want to leave, just fucking drop down. No one's forcing you to be here.
Well, based off of your
Because
language,
All right,
based
so
off
you
of
just
your language, I
understood.
will
So
leave.
don't
I
make me
think it's
feel
very
sorry.
rude to be swearing. There's no need to swear.
Sir, this is not your platform. We can
Yes.
swear on here if we choose to.
Don't use
We don't
profanity
have
while
to
being
respect your
fluent.
wishes. Have to be on your platform. That is different. Gosh.
This is
Wait,
not
wait a
your
minute.
Oh
platform.
my
You don't
goodness.
announce your
That
departure.
homosexuals are
Dr.
believers,
Drops.
and that's why he
Just
doesn't
leave.
want to address the subject. Is it
But
because he
Dr.
feels
I
that
don't
Drops.
know.
homosexuals are
So
believers?
Dr.
Dr.
Drops, please address Des properly. Des was speaking to you and he told you why you need to address him and correct what you were saying.
The only reason I shared my story with you is because you were trying to invalidate what I was sharing with you, because to you, I wasn't Christian enough. And I was explaining to you that I have too much experience in Christianity and that everything that I'm saying comes from my experience of having lived and walked this. That's it.
So then my
Here,
answer to that was pretty
40
simple.
something
Even if
years as a
fam,
Christian.
like, can I actually say something, bro? Dang, Phil.
Phil, I really don't understand.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't
Can I
understand
just
you.
also say this, guys? Phil is not speaking over people or being loud. It's genuinely his mic, right? You guys were not able to say the same
Yes,
thing.
my mic is loud,
The
and my
reason
voice
why,
is at a normal level.
No.
yeah, because
My
the reason
mic,
why
and
we
I have
couldn't
the
say
mic
anything
away
about
from my
ID is because we
face.
understand that some people's mics are superior to other people's mics.
Yes, and the person that was
spiritual.
telling me that I was
I'm
being
trying to
loud, I could
defend
hear them
Phil,
loudly, but I
but
realized their
Phil has
mic
a
is
habit
loud.
of
I
repeating
realized the
something and
person mic
over
is
and over
loud.
again. It's actually not
What
his
about
mic.
those
It's a habit,
inferior mics?
and it's repulsive. If I'm being honest, you don't have to
So
repeat something 10
Inferior
times.
mic here.
Leo, I did not hear
I just
anything of what you stated. If I'm being honest.
No, I said
so
Phil. I know you're trying to, speak off of Phil, but Phil has a habit of repeating something. So when you repeat something more than 2 or 3 times, you are actually trying to yell. You're trying to make a statement. I don't agree with that.
Okay, then Leo, with all due respect, hon, you already know the drill here. You come on this platform about this isn't my platform, obviously, but you don't have to announce to leave. If you don't like how someone's speaking, you can't
No,
put
he's
these other people's
yelling.
tone.
The problem is that
If
he's
you
trying to
don't,
talk
yeah, and
over others.
if you don't like the yelling, sir, you can leave. But you're not going to tone police how Phil speaks, because honestly, no one's
Right,
asking you to say
but
that. It's not an area.
Spiritual just explained that my mic is loud. And the other person that was telling me my mic was loud, there to me was coming through loud. But I realized is that their mic was loud also. Come on, people, man.
Phil, I have a very inferior mic, and I was just wanted to ask Dr. Drops, because he said there was multiple passages in the Bible, but the point is all of these passages can be debunked. So we do understand the passages, Dr. Drops. If you want to go through all of them, a lot of us here are very versed in Christianity because a lot of
we
us
were
have been
Christians, a lot of
Christian.
us were Christian before.
so
And I was a Christian for 46 years, almost 46 years. And
fam.
I came to my conclusions not lightly from studying the Bible, as they said. So please don't come up here and make assumptions, sir.
So
Ask
can
a
I actually
question,
like
but don't
finish
do
what I'm
that.
saying, bro?
Right?
Like
Thanks.
I'm not gonna say
Thank
what I'm
you.
saying because you want to say something like a billion times, the same things a billion times. So what I was saying to my point is, even if you want to go down the route of academia and what you studied, majority of Christian scholars will still agree that these passages are about homosexuality. Given that, especially like in the U.S., for example, or in the Western world, a lot of pastors, they go through Bible colleges, they go through seminaries, they go through. Can I just like finish? And they go through these things and they go through these studies and they come out and preach that these passages are about homosexuality. So we can't just say
Not
because
true,
I
though,
did my
Dr. Drops.
individual.
Which
Yeah, that
passage are you
is the
talking
case.
about?
That is the case.
Let's go through one passage at a time. Which passage are you talking
You
about?
want to go through passages?
Yes, okay,
All
let's
right.
talk about each passage and let's explain them
Give
to
me a
you.
second to. All right, give me a second to pull up the passage. We can go to Romans 1.
The Romans one is actually the most clearest one that is about men and boys and women and
Yeah,
girls.
we'll
Just
see
so
if it says that. Yeah.
No. In English, it's going to say what colonizers wanted to say. If you go back to the original
Right.
languages
The
of those
colonizers'
texts.
argument. Yeah, right.
No. If you go back to the Greek, bro,
Right.
I studied this. I'm sharing with you, and you're
Right,
trying to
right,
dismiss
right.
it because it doesn't agree with what you say and think already. But if you go back to the Greek, it is actually talking about pedophilia.
Right. So all the translators just sat down and was like, you know what, we're gonna
Yes,
change
they
this.
did. It's called
For what motive? What motive?
Yes. Did you have? So you haven't studied Christian
It's
history.
literally
is what you're saying.
you're building a theory. So we're going to discuss. So here's what's going to
I'm
happen.
stating
So here's
history.
this is where this argument really just goes in circles, because what we do is just this. We then just build a conspiracy that
It's not a
all these
conspiracy.
people,
Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean
I
it's not a
promise you,
conspiracy.
if I'm done talking, I will mute. And
it's not just about your monologue. This is a discussion.
It is a discussion, but we're going back and forth. You let one person
That's
speak,
the
and then
nature
I
of
will
a
let you
discussion, to
speak.
go back and forth.
Yes, but I will let you speak. You have to
You
let me speak.
me. Oh, that's cute.
You have to
That's
let
cute
me
as fuck.
speak, and I will let you speak. We can't
It's
just
not-
like go off like
We're
there would
literally
be no
talking back
order.
and forth right now, and it's okay. Why is
No,
that?
it's not okay,
It's
because we
you're
can't
triggered
get
by
to
what
a
I'm saying.
specific point, because every time I'm halfway through a point, you want to interject.
No, you're not halfway through a point. You start to say something and I tell you that it's not correct. And then you're like, yes, it is. And then you don't show us how it's actually correct. And I'm telling you that if you go back to the Greek in the verse in Romans that you're trying to go to, you will see that it's not men and men, it's men sleeping with boys and women sleeping with girls, and colonizers did screw that up on purpose. It's called translation.
So
There are
anyway,
so many
like
fallacies in the English translation, it's ridiculous.
So I speak multiple languages. Actually, I also speak Lingala and I speak French. So even if you want to read it in Lingala or French, these verses still refer to. Can I, like, you see, like, this is where the issue is. Like, I go like 3 words in, and then you just want to say something. I mute when you're talking. Can we just like offer the same respect back towards each other?
Because I'm not saying things that aren't factual, though.
Can I like finish what I'm saying? If you feel that way, that's fine, but let me finish at least. So even if you want to read this in French and you want to read it in any other language, it's still referring to homosexuality. The thing that happens here and what you're doing is, the thing that's happening here and what you're doing is you're creating a conspiracy that all these people who sat down, who were scholars, who were translators that understood the language best, that we found they could understand the language best, all of a sudden all came on one accord and said that, you know what, we're all going to translate these things in multiple languages, because this is not only in English that it says this, in multiple languages, and just say that this is about homosexuality. That's literally a conspiracy theory.
Have you studied Christian history at all?
It's all bullshit.
I've studied some.
So it's okay. So to break it down for you, yes, it is something that they got together and did. It's called colonization, right? And so one of the primary tools to colonize that was used was religion. It's part of the psychological fuckery that colonizers did across the entire globe. And yes, it was a group effort of the English, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch. I know I'm missing some because everyone just got in on the party. But they all took different twists on it. They didn't get together. They weren't like, hey, let's have a get together and like fuck this all up. What they did was they each had their own way of doing it, and they just stole from each other, because colonizers are going to keep colonizing each other too. And they keep stealing the ideas from each other. Like, oh, that can work pretty good. I will fuck this up, put this in here, and then I can rule my people really easy. And so what they did was like stained glass windows, for example. That's why stained glass windows are, is so that people can look at pictures instead of actually teaching people how to read and educate themselves, so they could learn and do this stuff for themselves. Because if they did teach them and they did learn for themselves, they wouldn't be able to manipulate and control them as easily. So it's really about having to, and that's when you get into needing to control and manipulate everyone for the Crusades, to steal all the resources, to be able to honestly conquer the whole world, because you can't do it just with brute force and violence, although there's a lot of that, of course. But you have to do it through ideology, because otherwise you're not going to be able to sustain your rule. So these are all colonizer tactics used to fuck us all over. And I really want to encourage you to study Christian history, because a lot of the things that you're saying, you will see line up when you study that.
So that's still a whole nother conspiracy theory. If you look at a lot of cultures, like especially like in the US, especially like in the US, for example, in the US, a lot of the second class citizens or slaves, they were not permitted early on to even own a Bible, and they were not permitted because they saw that they were not allowed to be a part of that religion. And then when they did give him a Bible initially, they gave him a third
making this up because,
of
again, you
everything
haven't
that
studied
had
Christian
slavery in there. Like, can we just be fair? Like,
no, you're saying incorrect things. I'm going to tell you when you're being wrong.
And you make attacks, and you also do
I'm not
jabs
making
when you're
attacks. I'm
speaking,
stating
and
factual
I mute,
history.
and I just listen to what you have to say, even though I disagree. But every time I'm saying something that doesn't line up with what you think,
It's not about lining up with what I say because I say it. You have an opinion. I have historical facts.
I'm literally going through history right now. I was literally going
let's
through
just
history.
give them 1 minute, but don't like do this whole thing of saying, oh, you have it. Just speak. Just say what you have
Okay,
to
I'll
say.
just speak.
thank you.
So if you look at the US, for example, I'll take the US for example. A lot of slaves early on were not even allowed to have a Bible because they believed that they were not allowed to impart in this religion. And then when they started giving them this for control, they gave them a third of what was actually in there to begin with. They gave them a third, everything that had to do with slavery, in order to oppress them. Not only up until like later on did they get to have the same Bible that they had. So this wouldn't make sense, that the idea being pushed here that they changed certain translations and certain things in order to fit a narrative wouldn't make sense, because they gave them the Bibles that they also had and they also believed in and they also held to, which they initially did not believe that they were worthy enough to even be reading to begin with. So this is where I'm saying this is where I'm saying that this whole thing is literally, and this is not an insult to her directly. I'm saying that it's a theory being made to discredit the religion that is simply, that it doesn't really have any legs.
No, it does. So I got you. So the reason is because the people in America were also colonized. I don't know if you've noticed the state of the United States. As someone that is here and is one of those slaves that you mentioned that managed to survive and be here, the Bible that was given to the mass public. So when you go to the starting of the making of the Bible, it's the Council of Nicaea, and you have it happening in 1700s. Colonizers created it to rule all of the white people there in Europe, primarily Western and Eastern Europe, right? So we're ruling there and they're expanding, and they don't teach them anything, right? But then Luther comes through and makes a translation into German, things start coming through, and people start on the local level to understand there. So then they have to expand, right? Because then these people are cluing in that, oh shit, we got to treat them better. They realize that we're treating them crappily, and now we got to move differently. So we need more people to increase what we have going on here, which is enslavement, obviously. Indentured servitude there, but then obviously it metastasizes and mutates as it grows because it's not dealt with. That's when you get into the psychology of these things. But so they wanted to, so the rich white people needed to find a way to manipulate and rule the poor white people. And that's what you have in the Bible, especially when you're talking about the United States, actually, because it's just to manipulate all of the poor white people here to think, and poor white people is anyone less than $1 million these days, which is really depressing. But anyone, to manipulate all of those there. And then they started to clue into that. And so you have to create what is known as the enslaved Bible that he was referring to, that he was accurate about that, right? And they gave that to the enslaved persons at the time. And that was so that, one, poor white people could still feel better, to still have actually the same sentiment that what's his name had there, doctor had. And it keeps this part going so that we continue to self-colonize. Please go study Christian history.
Okay, so I wanted to say, she made the claim that the Council of Nicaea was like in the 16th century. Ma'am, the Council of Nicaea was 325.
Sir, my name, my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, I'm sorry, he, him. The Council of Nicaea was at 325 AD. That is like a huge gap from when you said it actually happened. Secondly, the Council of Nicaea.
He did not say that, sir. He did not say that. You were not listening, sir.
He referenced the Council
He did not say that.
Yes,
Let me correct you.
Yes,
he did not say that the Council of Nicaea was in the 16th century.
Yes, he did.
No.
Then did you say that, or you were saying that, then jump to the 16th century to the thing?
Yeah, I jumped.
Yes, you did. I know. I was listening, sir. I was listening carefully.
Explain to us why you mentioned the Council of Nicaea.
Because that's when they got together and designed it.
And
they decided which books. So that's why you have the Apocrypha, for example, is that council.
The Council of Nicaea was a sitting in order to discuss the divinity of Christ.
Correct. And that's where they
decided to started to adopt the book.
Can I so
you just
the
asked me
Council
and I
of
answered your
Nicaea
question.
was a sitting in order to decide about the divinity of Christ, not on translations of the book.
I didn't say it was about
your entire argument that please,
I didn't say it was about
translation. 2 sentences. Let me just get
I
through
didn't
2
say it
seconds.
was
and
about
Sir,
then
you're
you
not
can go ahead and
listening. You
respond.
are not
didn't say it
listening
was
to
about
Des.
You can go
You are
ahead
not
and
listening to
respond.
Des. Sir,
You can
pause,
go ahead and
pause,
respond
I
pause.
didn't
once I'm
say,
Sir,
you can go
Drops,
ahead
I
pause.
and
didn't say it was
respond.
Listen,
about
What I'm
Des
gonna
is
transgression.
clarifying.
Phil,
You
just
are
keep
making
quiet,
certain.
Phil. Phil, just
Dr.
keep
Drops,
quiet,
pause
Phil.
and let Des
Phil, just
clarify
keep
let's
quiet,
not
because
do
you are
Phil.
this.
making some
Okay,
incorrect
Phil, just keep
statements,
It,
sir.
quiet,
okay,
Phil.
guys.
I'm just
Everyone,
gonna throw this out there though, Drops, is that you're more focused
Go
on
on.
nitpicking the dates that I got right or wrong, which you are still wrong about, than you are concerned without listening to the truth of what I'm sharing with you. So you know the same way that you face the Bible and you're not looking for all the ways that it's wrong, you're looking for all the ways that it's right and you can apply it to your life. Try doing that with like more things than just the Bible. Just a thought.
Hey, what's going on, Pat? So, like I was saying, this whole argument that was based upon people translating the book in
Nope,
order to
that's
fit a
not what I said.
certain narrative. That's
Nope.
that's what you said. You said that
That's not
people
what I said.
translated. You
So
said that the
let me tell you what I said.
colonizers. You
So
can
what I
correct me
said,
once
it
I'm
was
done,
it was
ma'am.
a
Des,
Sir,
gathering
sorry. You can
to
correct me
decide
once I'm
which
done.
let him
books or
Sir,
finish.
letters would be
Des,
a
you can
part of it.
correct me
let
once
him
I'm done,
finish.
sir.
Des, let him
Please.
No,
finish.
because you're
You can
saying you're
correct me
trying
once
to
I'm
speak
done.
for me.
You can
Drops, you're
just
trying to
correct
speak
me
for
when I
me.
am
And so I'm
done.
telling you the truth of what I
You
said
can correct me once I'm
right here.
done.
Just
Can you
let him
just
finish. Let him finish, and we will get to it. Not to worry, Des. Just let him finish.
Des, write it
okay?
down because he is going to go
So
on and on. Just write it down
No, I
to
won't.
remember
I
to come
won't
back
let him
to it.
go on and on. Let him just address what he needs to address.
So what I was saying, this entire thing started because the claim was that the parts that I said that was speaking of homosexuality in the Bible was translated that way in order to fit the narrative of the colonizers. So it's kind of weird to go back and reference something such as the Council of Nicaea, which was not even talking about translations of the book, to start the argument off of. This is just simply what I'm pointing out to begin with, that we're going, I'm poking little holes. That's what we do with arguments.
You're not poking holes. You're trying to find what's wrong with it. But what I shared with you is I started to explain Christian history because that was something that you said that you didn't know much about. And so I was sharing with you the history of the building of the construction of what is known as the Bible, which is literally just a greatest hits collection of cultural appropriation throughout the history of colonizers. And that is something that if you study, you will learn.
So people believed in the text and the things that were written in the book before white Europeans decided to go out and conquer the whole world. People are already holding to these ideologies, and people are already carrying on with these ideologies. The Bible was already the Bible and notorious for what it is prior to the white European. What the white European did. Can I just finish, please? What the white European did with the Bible was just make it popular amongst the entire planet and enforced it amongst people. And then when they did get to power, they first off, like we mentioned the slave Bible, they had put certain things in there or removed certain things in there in order to fit a narrative until eventually they just gave them the entire book.
It was all a plan from the beginning. There was no change. It was all a plan from the beginning. They
So
gave you something
I would
that they
like
knew they were
to
going to change later.
ask the gentleman a question, if you guys don't mind.
Can I say
I would
something?
like to ask him a question, please.
Yes,
okay. Dr. Drops.
Yes.
Can I ask you why are you a Christian?
Because I believe I'm a sinner.
Sorry, I didn't hear. You said you believe you're a sinner?
Yeah.
And what makes you believe that?
What does that mean?
It means to transgress against God's law and things of that nature.
So you have been transgressing God's law?
Yes, ma'am.
Which law?
Multiple of them. There's too many to count.
So are you still a sinner now?
Yeah.
So what difference does your Christianity make to you then if you're still a sinner?
Oh yeah. So I'm a repentant sinner. So the thing is, with Christianity, you believe that you're a sinner, and you're a sinner who is perishing, and we therefore believe in the atonement of Christ, who comes to take away our sins, so that we don't have to bear the consequences, which is eternal damnation from God ourselves. And once I believe in that in Christ, then I try to conform to the image of Christ. that is laid out by his apostles in the scriptures. So that's the difference.
I didn't understand that. So Jesus came to do what?
He
What
needs a
did Jesus
Bible
come
for
to
that.
do for
He
you?
doesn't know.
Yeah, he came to atone from my sin.
Atone.
Yeah.
Atone for your sins. By doing what? What did Jesus do to atone for your sins?
Dying and rising on the third day.
So he died to atone for your sins.
Yeah.
And somehow that's a good thing.
For me, yeah.
Was Jesus an innocent man?
Yes, he was. He wasn't a sinner like me.
Okay, so Jesus wasn't a sinner.
Yeah.
But then we have an innocent person dying for a guilty person.
Yeah, this is out of his love. He came and he loved people because we believe Jesus Christ is God. So he loved his people so much so that he came to atone for us. This is something that he willfully did.
So Jesus is also God. So that means Jesus sacrificed himself to himself.
One can say that if you please.
So he sacrificed himself to atone for your sins.
Yeah, one can say that if you please.
And yet you're still a sinner.
Yeah, so he atoned for my sins. So that means that's not taking away from me being a sinner. That's taking away from the sentencing that I was going to meet as a sinner. And in turn, I live my life in gratitude to that by trying to conform to how he lived.
But yet you're still a sinner even after everything that he has done.
Yeah.
So is being here in this panel, you trying to be like Christ then?
Being on this panel, I was just trying to have a discussion.
So not trying to be like Christ.
I mean, you can't try to be like Christ in every single. I mean, I don't really get that question. Like, I can't be like Christ in what cereal I eat. I can't be like Christ in how I shower.
Actually, that's literally what it says.
Wait.
Yes, you can.
So
That's
I don't.
Let me ask the gentleman, Dr. Drops. Dr. Drops, are you guaranteed a spot in heaven?
Yeah, as the faith says, yes.
So you are guaranteed a spot in heaven, even though you're a sinner.
As the faith says, yes.
So
That's
even though
all.
you're a sinner, you're guaranteed a spot in heaven.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter what sin you commit today, tomorrow, you're going to heaven.
No, all those things come into play. So the whole ideology is that to believe in Christ is to turn away from our evil and to try and conform to Him. So I'm striving. I'm actively striving to live and conform to the image of God.
Why strive if you've got a guaranteed spot in heaven?
Because that shows gratitude. That shows how genuine I was in the believing, right? So if I was someone who got excused from a certain thing that I did wrong, and I want to show that I was genuine about that, I'm not going to go back and actively and willfully go and do the thing to get me back in that position. I'm going to show that I've learned my lesson and try to live better and do better for myself.
Oh, okay. So when was the last time you committed a sin then?
I can't remember right now, thinking off the top of my head.
When was the last time you told a lie?
I don't lie very often. So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I think you guys got a misconception.
So in Christianity, are all sins equal?
It depends on what aspect you're talking about. All sin
is there any sin greater than the other?
Yeah.
Which one's greater than which?
That's not the Bible.
So the Bible speaks of sin that leads unto death. There's a sin, and then there's sin that leads unto death. For example, like fornication, sins against our own body is considered abominable in the Bible. These, like sexual sin, for example, is one of the sins that the Bible says flee away from instead of just resisting. We also have blasphemy of the Spirit, like the person mentions down there, which Christ says that a person could not be forgiven of. So yeah, there is a levels to it.
So where would you place the sin of the LGBTQ Where would you place that?
So that's amongst the abominable, which is under the category of sexual immorality. So they're in the same category, in the same category as those who fornicate and things of that nature.
Don't they all lead to the same results at the end of it all? Do they not all, well, go to hell?
Hell is a contrast to heaven. Hell is a contrast.
Yeah, all sin is leading to hell. But when you speak of each sin being worse than another, is certain sin they don't lead you deep
To hell.
into destruction.
So okay, so some
hell in
sins, some
there
sins don't lead. Oh, hold on, guys, hold on. So some sins don't lead you to hell.
No. Every sin leads people to hell. When you're speaking of the different levels, if you say the different levels of sin, we're talking about what pulls you away from God
What is
more.
hell,
Because
though?
even though we sin today, even if I were to sin right now, I'm not going to go to hell immediately. But every sin slowly distances us from God. So there's some sins that just lead us to a reprobate mind, which is almost at a point of no return. So this is what we mean by that. And we strive not to get to a point where we're insensitive to God and can't respond to him.
Can I say something, please?
Can I say something first? Before yes, quick question for him.
Who came first? Wait, who came up first?
I did say.
Who is Vasco was here first?
Okay. All right.
Go first. Go first.
You do know sin is a social construct made by humans to control people.
Correct.
If you look at the beginning of civilization, it was all powerful people forcing it onto people to try and control them. You do
We
realize that?
talked about that. It's a conspiracy theory, according to him.
It's a fact. I've done a lot of research on it.
Me too. I got a degree in it, but it's a conspiracy theory to this guy.
If you look in the Bible, it's just a bunch of rules and things. It's obviously made by humans. Why would an all-powerful God care about small things like two gay people having sex? And if he was all-powerful and he created the whole world, that would be a really small concern, really. Well, not a concern at all.
Well, if he's that powerful,
create them like that in the first place.
Well, I mean that's pretty simple. That's because God cares about us. I don't think it's fair for you to say what would matter to the all powerful being. People care about a lot of things that can be insignificant. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. Insignificant to others. In the Bible, it teaches us that God cares about people and cares about our well-being, and He has a model that He wanted people to live by. And if this is something that He sees to be an issue, then it's an issue. And I also wanted to say, I'm not saying the Bible is not used to control. Yes, the Bible is placed on here so that we can be moderated, so that we may live a moderated life. I'm full acknowledgement of that.
But it says in the Bible, like, stupid things like you can't be in the same house as your wife if she's on a period. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, so that was during the Mosaic days when they were in Jewish practices, and they believed that if a woman was going through her menstrual period, she was unclean. Therefore, you had to distance yourself. These were things that accompanied other practices that they had to do, like holy sacraments, where priests would have to maybe go and do their ceremonies, or men who would have to be at war and they had to do sanctification things, and they believed that this would make them unclean. This was all connected to their practices, but there were people who were being made unclean.
But that doesn't make any logical sense.
Well, so the hard part is that, so that's actually cultural context, right? Is because of the time period, it was actually the separation just because of hygiene, right? So it's just about the cleanliness of, they didn't have tampons to be able to soak everything up and just making it easy. So there was about separation for hygiene purposes and creating a nation when they had no clue and concept of what to do. But that doesn't change the fact that so much, and I'm just going to point this out for you, Drops, is how much of your language sounds like assimilation. You have to conform, you have to assimilate, you have to do these things, and there's so many points where you can't question authority. And that is actually literally the opposite of the original stories of Jesus, which is why colonizers manipulated them. So it's because Jesus was a political revolutionary that spoke on equality and helping people honestly be welcomed into society and no longer be marginalized. And so he skipped around the known world, popping into different synagogues, reading a passage and saying, hey, actually, I got this. Like, and was saying, I'm the Son of God, because it's about understanding the divinity of our choice. You get to points where you're not connecting the dots, because this is confronting your identity. Because what Christianity does is it forces you to psychologically empty yourself and vilify parts of who you are, so that you self-colonize, so that you cut parts of yourself off that are actually part of normal human experiences. Like, you know, when you, a really easy one is sex, because for some reason Christians are really terrified of it, but they do need to keep having uterus owners pop out tiny humans. So you can't just say it's all bad, but you can vilify the fuck out of it and say you can only do it when we say. So it's just about all of these things that are designed to hamstring your agency, so that you aren't operating as a healthy human, so that they can manipulate you. It's about keeping you in a constant state of despair, and that makes it really easy to move people in the direction that you want them to go. It's all about emotional and psychological manipulation.
So I would say it's not true based on my own individual experience. I think that a lot of stuff that you said were you're assuming a lot. I'm a pretty happy person. I'm a pretty happy individual. I'm happy in what I'm in and what I'm doing and what I believe in. Yes, the whole religion is about conforming. I said that earlier. I believe that. I'm aware of that. I think if a Christian is not aware of that, they have to ask themselves whether they are actually a Christian or not. Because this whole thing is about conforming to an image. Christ had come. I mean, when we're talking about Christ and what he said, then I believe you're cherry picking then at some point, because you're mentioning about Christ being a political leader, but you're ignoring verses where Christ says, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give unto God what belongs to God, when he was asked a political question. And Christ says statements that in no way can be reconciled as a political. Please let me just finish this real quick. And there's just so many overwhelming statements that Christ speaks of throughout the Gospels that in no way can be taken as a political stance, or as somehow trying to become a political leader, as when they call him the Son of David, the Son of Man, when he refers to him as the Son of Man, the Lord of David, the Lord over the Sabbath. And when he speaks of things such as the law being clean and unclean, there's just so many things that you have to disregard in order to just paint Jesus as this political leader and not a religious individual.
He was killed as a political revolutionary. That's literally why he was crucified. But my point is that so even just the word conforming, right? It's not like you say that it's. I'm going to try to make this as
I'll jump in.
You say it's supposed to be about an intimate personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and then you're also simultaneously trying to say it's about conforming. I'm trying to show you, and I'm not trying to say that you're miserable or unhappy. I'm trying to point out the lingo and the patterns that are used in Christianity are about assimilation and not relationship. And the thing is that because of that conformity, that is actually not at all what Jesus teaches or talks about. He talks about relationship and loving. And the verse that you gave about give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's, it's pointing out the bullshit of money. And don't worry, Paul says shit in Galatians if it makes you feel better. So that money is a made up thing by Caesar, and give to Caesar what is Caesar's, because it literally has no value. Okay. Over here, give to God what is God's. Jesus teaches that God is love and truth. And the thing is that colonizers sit and say that they are the arbiters of what love and truth is. And that is how they fuck up what Jesus actually teaches. Because 100%. The thing is that what is then truth and what is then loving is God. And they're trying to manipulate it and take it out of context so that people self-colonize and so that they can be God, and people are ignorant to that fact because they're the ones that got to lay down all the rules that you're following and the ones that are cherry picked to follow.
So again, like saying that Jesus was crucified as a political leader, him being crucified as a political leader doesn't make him actually a political leader. When we read through the Gospels, this was the reasons that the Pharisees used in order to pin something on him against the Romans for him to get crucified. When he goes against, when he actually meets the man who was to order his crucifixion, the man said, "I can find nothing wrong." So, and then the argument that used against him was that Jesus was gaining popularity. If you let him live, then you are no friends of Caesar's. So this wasn't an agenda that Jesus had to become a powerful political leader.
I'm not saying
but this was what the Pharisees. I'm just saying this because that it seems like that's what you're trying to portray. But this is what the Pharisees wanted to paint of Christ in order to him to be crucified. But I mean, there's many passages. Like again, I can go through passages. Jesus says in the final chapter of Matthew, he says, "All authority has been given unto me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always unto the end of age." I mean, these are just like scriptures. We can't sit and say that this is politics. This is not politics. This is religion.
So I don't know why you're getting off on being all this thing about politics. He was murdered as a political revolutionary, but he was a revolutionary. That's why they got mad at him and made it political. So just like people on TikTok today, right, speaking out against the system and saying, hey, this is all full of shit. We really just need to come together and love each other and not harm each other. Right.
Correct.
Thank you for someone down there in the comments. Religion is very much about politics because they manipulate it and use it. Right. And you're right. Like the religious
100%.
leaders of the day used politics to end his life because he was a revolutionary that was speaking love and truth. And I don't know why that was missed when I said that before, but Jesus speaks about relationship and loving people that are marginalized by society. Christianity and religions do not do that. They cherry pick when they want to do that, so they feel good about the system that they continue to participate in that actually causes all of the harm that they pretend to help.
So explain to me, Sam, why did Jesus get upset when people were selling in the temple?
So Jesus got upset when people were selling in the temple because they were actually embarking on capitalism. So capitalism and mixing that with religion. I don't know what's...
Okay, let's read Jesus.
No, hang on.
Once again, we're
Hang
going
on.
back.
I would like
He turned
for us
over the
to-
tables
I would like
because
for
they
us
were
to,
selling the sacrifices for the temple, and it became all about profit and not about actually the relationship that you're supposed to have with God, which is what Jesus talks about.
Okay, so it wasn't. So Jesus doesn't
also,
actually say
guys,
capitalism.
hold
That was
on.
your analysis.
Please hold on.
No,
Please
he doesn't
hold on.
have to
Please
say
hold on.
capitalism.
Hold on a second. I would like other people to join in on this conversation, and if if we can just move on from this particular subject. I think we've talked about this for quite a while now. If you guys do not mind, because there are other things that we could talk about as well. So yeah, I would like to bring in user, are you there? User 52799, you there?
Yes.
Did you want to add to this conversation or?
Yeah, but you was just saying there was a lot of differences and different with language. I want to add on is how it was corrupted when it translated, because in our religion it's been told who protect the Bible is the human, and who protect our book is the God.
So not sure I understanding. I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say. Sorry.
Just trying to compare the Quran and the Bible.
Okay, so sorry, what did you mean? What question do you have for me?
Is do you believe in God? Do you believe in anything?
No, I don't believe in God.
Christian?
I don't believe in God, no.
For why is that?
I just don't believe in God. There's not enough evidence to hold a belief in God.
Did you try to ask God?
Yes, I was a God person before.
Christian?
Yes, I was a Christian before.
Here what I'm not expert or anything. They're teaching me. I'm not good even at English, but I will tell you what I know. Okay.
Okay.
So they were teaching me. So Jesus was not killed and crucified. It appeared like they were dead, but he was taken by God. So what we know, if someone said, if someone, Allah ما أعرف.
What's your religion? What's your religion?
Sounds like Islam.
But I don't know English too much.
It's okay. User, please, just take your time. I'm listening, and we'll get there. Just you take your time, okay?
Okay. Okay. It's like he was dead. He appeared dead, but it's taken by God. So what I've been my teacher tell me is every time you pray for God and God alone, no one else. But I heard somebody when he's praying, he said Jesus. From our story in God, in the end of life, in the end of the universe, when everyone dies, they go to Jesus. They go and say, save us. Get us to heaven. He said, I don't tell you to pray me. I told you to pray God.
Okay.
So then my teacher said, it's the only way for Islam. It's the only way because you and God, no one else, no Jesus, no anything. And you believe in Muhammad. Rasulullah. يا أخي المشكلة my English is not so good.
So Muhammad is who? God, or who's Muhammad?
No, Muhammad is not God. Muhammad is the messenger.
User, if I can just, I'm an ex-Muslim. If I can just try to re-say what you've stated for like, you're basically saying that that obviously Jesus in Islam is seen as a prophet, and he is not God. And because the fact that he is seen, the fact that Christianity sees him as God and Islam talks about him being a prophet, it validates that it is not possible for him to be the son of God, and therefore Islam is the true religion because it does not worship, and it does not worship more than one people, because Islam sees believing that Jesus is God as contradicting or as being wrong, because it's not one God, because he's a person and not a God, not like Allah. Is that what you're trying to say? All right. Okay. Yeah. So, Dr. Drops. So basically, what they're trying to say is that to them, like, your Christianity is less authentic because you believe that an individual is both God and the prophet, a prophet of God. So yeah, that's their point.
Well, I guess we're back and forth again here. I think we're not making a point.
No, I think that question was for myself, right? Because she was asking if I was an atheist or if I didn't believe, and
right. She was asking
I don't
why
think
you
it
don't
was
believe.
directed
Yes.
at Dr. Drops.
Sorry, my bad.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Dianity.
So is that for me to answer, or?
No, I think it's for the host then.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think she's trying to ask that if you came out of Christianity, why didn't you look at Islam? Because she understands that you believe that Christianity is wrong because it sees Jesus as God. So why not Islam? Because it believes in one God.
Right.
Yeah, but I just applied the same logic that brought me out of Christianity. Just applied that same logic to Islam, and Islam fails, especially the claim that the prophet received these words from an angel brought to the prophet. It just makes no sense to me. If a God wants to speak to us, why can he not just speak to us without having to send a send an angel who then goes to a prophet. A prophet now gives it to people who, they're told to memorize and recite, and then these people now put it together. It makes no sense at all. It's just senseless.
Somewhere it makes sense. If you are a believer in someone, it makes sense. I know. But, okay, see, when an angel came down, it told for Muhammad to read and to the first verse, اقرأ. But I don't know how to tell it in English.
There's no evidence of angels.
No evidence of angels, exactly. And I just don't know.
Angels do not
Well,
come.
I have a question for the host. I have a question for the host.
Okay, go on. Ask your question.
So you would say you're more spiritual than anything, right?
I'm not spiritual. I'm not spiritual.
What do you believe in?
I'm an atheist. I'm not spiritual.
Okay, as an atheist, what do you believe in?
Gosh, loads of things, but just not a higher power, ghosts, angels, demons, all these sky entities and spirit beings. I don't believe in those things.
Okay, so that's interesting. So as an atheist, you say this supernatural doesn't exist, is what you're saying?
Not for me, no. No, there's no proof of the supernatural.
Well, isn't that's why it's called supernatural?
There's no proof of that.
Well, because it's hard to prove stuff like that, right?
No, because science hasn't proved it. Until science proves it, then we'll know.
Well, but that's why it's called
no proof.
Science can't prove a lot of things, yeah? Science is still trying to prove things. That's why
It's
it's
the
called
best
science.
thing we've got to understand the world.
But you can't ignore something just because science can't prove it, or we don't have proof for it. You know what I mean?
You can ignore it. Why not?
So I just want to say this I just want to say to the point that he's bringing. Science is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world. So therefore, when we're talking about things being supernatural, science is automatically disqualified as a qualifier to prove it. I mean, it's fine to believe in science. I believe in science too, but we can't use science as a we can't use science as a measure for supernatural because it can't do that.
Okay, so what means what means do we use to test the supernatural? Yeah, what methodology?
Well, for example, right? So you made some good points when you said you don't believe in ghosts, you don't believe in, which is all supernatural things that we all understand as human beings. That we understand that there's the spiritual world and then there's
no. We don't all assume there is a spiritual world.
It's the same
what the hell
assumption
do
that
you
we.
mean? Okay, you know what? You know what?
Question.
Can you tell me? No, hold on. No, I've got a question. I've got a question. Please, what do you mean by the spiritual world? What is that?
Well, the same way you can take a book and read, for like let's say a science book, right? But the difference is on a science book, you have proofs and examples because that's what science do, right? So I'm talking about when you grab a supernatural book, there's a lot of things that are beyond.
No, sir, you're not answering the question correctly. No, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher. You're not answering the question. Listen to the question carefully. Repeat the question again.
But listen to me though. What I'm trying to say is,
listen carefully.
By a spiritual world.
What do you mean? Don't go to science. Don't go to science. You don't need to go to science. It doesn't work.
Phil, I'm talking to the host. Go ahead. What was your question?
Excuse me?
Phil's cutting off again. What was that?
What is a spiritual world?
Oh no, you made points when you said ghost and all these things that you're mentioning that you don't believe in, right? So I asked you, I'm like, there's a reason why you don't believe in those things because they're harder to prove, like science. Science proves things. Supernatural, you can't prove it. They're harder to prove. Like, for example,
you then said that we all believe that there is a spiritual world.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to say we all. I didn't say certain people.
Give me 1 second, guys. Someone at my door.
Until science can
You
prove
see,
it, there's no need to believe in it.
He was talking about the spiritual world.
Right.
Where when somebody dies, what happens to the person? Where does his soul goes?
We rot.
Well,
If we don't believe in the
hasn't
spiritual world,
proved it
then
yet. Science has
when
not
somebody
proven it
dies,
yet.
where does he go?
Okay,
in the
hold on a
ground,
second.
we rot.
Well, they go on the ground, obviously. What do you mean? Their body goes on the ground. Well, we're talking about the spirit, which is
So
you
when the
guys.
body goes on the ground, where does the spirit? Where does your soul go?
We're made out of stardust.
Do we believe that we have a soul?
Universe and the stardust. We just
You
disintegrate.
just asked me a question. What I'm saying to you is, as your science proves, is when somebody dies, the body goes underground, right? But you guys don't understand the spirit,
Yes.
so we can't even talk about the spirit because you don't understand it.
But you still have to test. What? Hold on a minute. What methodology have you used? That's what S had asked you before. What methodology do you use to show the spiritual world exists? And plus, you have not still defined what we mean by the spiritual world. She asked you that first. What do you mean by the spiritual world? That is what she asked, and you're going off on this thing. Science can't test this and that. That does not answer your question.
Okay, well, I'll give you an example. Do you know what a miracle is?
I was gonna say consciousness.
Phil, do you know what a miracle is?
According to what people believe, is something they cannot explain.
Okay, so therefore, that's one example that I have for you. So, how does science explain a miracle?
No, but it doesn't mean that science cannot explain it. It means science cannot explain it. No, but people, because they can't explain it, claims that that's a miracle. A lot of things used to be claimed to be miracles that we know science have explained, and they're not miracles. So that definition, it still doesn't work. So asking us what is a miracle does not explain what's the spiritual world. Examples don't help. What is the spiritual world? What characteristics does it have, etc.? And how have you determined that it has those characteristics?
Well, okay. Okay, another way to talk about it is, for example, okay, once again, she mentioned that evil doesn't exist. Okay. Did she mention that? There's no evil, she's right? The host is not here. I can't really
I don't think
talk about
she?
that until she
I'm
gets
not
back.
sure if you say that. He's still going off that side.
What's that?
Sir, if I ask, what do we mean by oh God, let me use a good example. What do we mean by
well, do you believe
equal?
in evil?
Do we mean by equal? Before you give an example, you give the definition of what is equal, and then you proceed to give an example of. I'm not asking you for example of, I'm asking you what is the spiritual world, which will include its characteristics, etc. The characteristics. Then you give the example. So what are the characteristics of this spiritual world, and how have you determined that is the characteristics?
Okay, perfect.
That's why I was asking. That's what S is asking. But hold that thought till she comes back, because she want to hear, right?
For me, there is no spiritual
Go
world.
and hear that.
Brain works off impulses. Once it's gone, there's nothing. You can't.
Right,
it's our brain that gives us consciousness, and we'll just rot into the ground.
Well,
can someone be just impulse to do wrong things?
Well, yeah, they can do impulse to do wrong things, because I think that's what it's an impulse.
No. I want the guy to answer. I want that guy.
Yes, based on our brain chemistry, our brain can impulse us to have more anger or certain chemistries and hormones and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Certain environmental stimuli. It's called stimuli.
So
stimuli and impulse are two different things, fam.
Pardon?
Impulse and stimuli is two different things, fam.
No. Yes, what can cause you to do certain things. Sorry,